Now the way that this chase the player function will work is we'll detect if the player is to the left of the enemy, and if that's true, then they'll run to the left. But if the player's to the right, then they'll run to the right. So we need an if block. And we want to know if the player's position is less than my position. So we need a less than block from operators. Starts out as equals up there. Change equals to less than. And in the left here, we want X position of the player. So we go to transform and grab X position of myself, drag that in there. We don't want this to say myself, so we'll get myself out of there. We want this to refer to the player. How do we refer to the player? Well, the player will have a player tag on it. What we'll do is we'll set up a variable to identify the player. So we'll go to variables, and under properties, we'll grab true, false, I, and change true, false to instance, and click on I, choose new variable, and we'll call this player. Okay, so there's an object, an instance, which is called player, but right now it's undefined, it doesn't have a value. So let's drag that into the X position block. We need to make sure that we actually know who the player is, so we'll go back to variables and grab set instance player so that we can give this a value. We'll do this when the level starts. We'll set the player to the first thing we can find with the player tag. So that block is from sensing, under tagging, first instance by tag, tag name. And the tag will be player. Alright, so we've saved who the player is, and then we want to know if the player's position is less than my position. So from transform, we want X position of myself. And if the X position of the player is less than my position, that means they're to the left. So I should run to the left. So we'll grab one of our set X velocity blocks, and it'll be negative so that they run to the left. Now, my walking around, I was moving with 100 X velocity. When I'm chasing, I want that to be a bit faster, so I might set it to 150. And I also want to be facing the left, so I'm going to use that set scale block. Set scale X to -1. Alright, so that'll make the enemy chase the player to the left. What about to the right? Well, we'll change this if block to an if else if. Click on that little gear icon, grab else if, drag it into the if, click the gear icon again to close that little pop-up. And in here, in the else if section, we want to check if the X position of the player is greater than X position of myself. That means they'll be to the right. So we can duplicate those blocks, change that less than to a greater than. And we'll set the velocity to 150, so they run to the right, and set the scale to 1. So I should constantly be doing this now. Let's test it out. There we go. Constantly chases me. Next problem to solve is getting him to jump over obstacles.